This is the final game of the event. Everybody's getting tired. We've had a couple more drops along the way, and some issues just getting the pairings right with the tournament software because of some of those drops. So Matt Thornton is on the bottom again. He's going to play light side. We asked a few people around if they wanted different, wanted to play the featured match, and several people both declined the matchup. So we're going to go with Matt Thornton against Greg Shaw. Both players are 5-2, and in pretty good position with their strength of schedules to make the top 8 cut. But we'll stream something here and get a game going. Greg Shaw is going to be playing Dark Side. Looks like that's an Endor Ops, and it looks like a TTO setup. Yep. And Matt Thornton's going to play his hidden base deck again, which we saw earlier in the day. With the 5 systems and some of the ground characters. Greg's got the systems and a couple of short-range fighter combos and a couple of, looks like a Vader. And Matt's got Padme and Rey, an X-Wing cannon, and a Masanya and a Sense already. So right now, looking at the standings, there were 2 6-1 players, Tom Kelly and Mike French. They could play each other. They were the opposite sides, so they paired up against each other, and they've playtest that matchup. They're staying in the same room. They're playtest partners. They kind of know how that matchup goes, and Mike French conceded the game to Tom Kelly, so they're gonna. Tom's gonna move to 7-1. He'll be the top ranked player, the number 1 seed overall. And Mike French will fall to 6-2, but still in great position, and he'll probably end up right around 4th, I would think, 3rd or 4th overall, and make the cut into to tomorrow. Other matchups we've got Kyle Kruger playing Michael Erisman. They're both 5-2. You've got Greg Shaw playing Matt Thornton. They're both 5-2. So that'll be 6. Those are your top 6 players right now. And we'll try and get the pairings for the last game as well. Yeah, game 8, we've got Mike French, Tom Kelly. We got, I'm sorry, Kyle Kruger's playing Chris Werfs. Michael Erisman's playing Matt Sokol. Sokol at 5, both of them at 5-2. Werfs at 5-2 after beating Harpster. Greg Shaw and Matt Thornton there at 5-2. So there's your top 8 so far right now. Certainly the possibility, if those guys, for the people who lose those 5-2 games and fall to 5-3, at 4-3, you've got Ryan Jellison and Jan Westergaard, and you've got Steve Harpster and Cyrus, and I think Amar is also 4-3. But just thinking hypothetically from the matchups I've seen today, their strength of schedules are all going to be pretty low. So even with them winning their games and moving up to 5-3, the people who are above them losing those games and sliding down to 5-3 probably shouldn't change your top 8 seedings. Chris Werfs might be the one that could possibly slide out. I think he would be the one kind of on the bubble if he were to lose. But Kyle's played Tom at least once, if not twice. Greg Shaw's played Tom Kelly twice. Yes, Kyle did play Tom Kelly twice, so he's going to have a pretty high strength of schedule there. From his early games, Greg Shaw played Tom Kelly twice in his early games. Matt Thornton has played against Kyle, and Matt Sokol's had some games with Mike French and and Greg Shaw. So they're all got some pretty notable wins at the top. So we'll get back to our commentary here of our featured match. Not really much surprising. Greg Shaw with his dark side deck put Moff Jerjerrod to the bunker, pulled out the first sector, drew a few cards. Matt Thornton pulled out a system with his hidden base. Looks like he got Chandrilla. That was a system that was eluding him. Actually, it was a system he got out. It was Narshada that was eluding him in his last featured matchup. And he's just drawn a few cards. Greg, at the start of his turn, is going to get his second Death Star 2 sector. Looks like Greg Shaw is going to reveal Slave 1, match for Boba Fett, and use Endor Shield and take Ozzel into hand. It's a pretty solid space package. It's kind of tough to do much against. You can shoot it, that's about it, but he'll deploy a second sector. Oh, he short-range fighter comboed for the Slave 1. And then use the Endor Shield pull on Ozzel. He's got the second sector. He's got We Shall Double Our Efforts out. Matt Thornton's going to use his objective, get another system out. He's going to grab Tatooine. That one is one that Greg can directly reach with his Death Star in one move. And quite possibly next turn if he gets the third sector and the TTO. Matt's going to drop his farm. And Owen and Baru for free. And then we may see possibly a Chewie with him to do a used pile search. Yep, there's Chewie for 5. And then I must be allowed to speak. The search is used pile. He's got 2 systems in there to choose from, or EPP Luke or Leia. Or possibilities as well. He could have taken Leia there and deployed Leia with them to get another card pull from his used pile, and then possibly just shuttled her up later to one of his capitals. But for now, he's just going to choose to take the Luke and I guess wait for Greg to move out of the bunker. Greg does need to be careful with leaving that Gergerod alone by himself in the bunker for too long, of course. Now that he's seen that Matt's played some characters, the possibility of a Corrin Horn should start to rear its head as something that Matt could have in his light side deck. Greg's going to get his third sector out. Then he'll use this text on the sector. He pulls that thing's operational. I would expect to see Greg possibly deploy one, if not two ships together to Tatooine. And then possibly move the Death Star. Another option for him would be deployed to the docking bay, move Gergerod over, get him in that ship, and then take that ship off to Endor. As we saw in an earlier game, Mike French used a hyperspace navigation chart. The other variant for which system, keeping track of which system the Death Star 2 is people will move that thing's operational around, just so they have something to keep track of what system it's actually at. Again, a kind of a glimpse at Greg's hand there. We can see he's got a Black Sun fleet. Looks like he's got a Dark Time. He's going to deploy Black 2 to the docking bay there. It looks like he'll move Gergerod over and take off. Got to get that guy out of there as quickly as possible. He's going to match Baron and Saber 1 to Endor. That's a very very smart play by Greg Shaw there. Can't afford to leave Gergerod in there for too long. Yeah, he'll move over, get in the ship, take the ship off now to Endor. He's got about 10 power and 2 battle destiny, so make it very hard for Matt to interact right away. Actually, 3 battle destiny because the Death Star 2 is still there, so he'll add 1 from the second sector. Matt Thornton will activate. Looks like he's getting about 10 force right now. 2, 4, 6, 7. Walkling is 8. 1 for him is 9. Okay, so he saved a couple. He'll pull some more systems. There, he uses his objective. He knows he's got the 2 on the bottom because they were in his used pile last turn. All 3 systems are still in there. He's going to take Nar Shaddaa. Another 2-1. Looks like Greg's explaining a little bit about TTO and how the damage and everything works with that. Matt's reading all the sectors and all the different game text about how to move in. We know he's got Wedge and Red Squadron 1 in his deck, so it could be something he might be thinking about trying to possibly move in and take a shot to blow up the Death Star. It caused Greg 24 slots if he could do it. It'll take him a few turns to get a ship, get there, and move in, and he could hit some road bumps in the road, should I say, along the way. As we get a glimpse of Matt's hand there, he's got Rey, Solo, the Masanya, EPP, Luke, Padme. So he's got certainly quite a few options for things to do, and about a dozen Force or so with which to spend them. He's going to drop an EPP Luke, use Luke's once per game, use pile search. Not exactly what I'm sure he was hoping for. I think he's going to take the Hujix just for two purposes. One, to get the Destiny 1 card out of the deck, and two, just in case. You never know what a battle may happen and he might get in trouble. Better, as we saw in the earlier matchups with some one-sided battles. Greg Shaw's earlier game, he didn't have a Hujix, and his Chewie got beat up pretty bad. And the game before that, Lenny Rubin did not have a Gick, and his ISB agents got beat up pretty bad. So when you have the opportunity to grab that kind of card, that's your safety net. Make sure you go ahead and grab it while you can. Not use a grabber on it. Use your ability to get it out of your deck. Looks like Matt's doing a little math, counting how many Force Greg would be activating. One of our other things we can check out on was our Game 7 wins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, again, though, the wins and losses seem to balance out a little bit in the last game. As we saw more of our dark side players winning, especially at the top. The 3 of the top 4 games, the dark side player won last round. As you get into sort of the middle of the field, the 4 and 3, 4 and 2, 4 and 3 play, 4 and 2 and 3 and 3 players. Those games were all won by light side, so may not be quite as skewed or as lopsided as it looked earlier in the day. Those first 2 games with that small sampling size. Matt Thornton has deployed a ship with Rey aboard it to Chandrilla and used Rey's use pile search to take. Looks like it took Tanev into hand. Looks like so that's to be Rey aboard the Masanya. Grievous, EPP Maul, Boba Fett. Like Greg Shaw paid 3 with battle plan out, possibly to drain at Endor. We'll see what cards Matt decides to lose. He's got 3 Jedi's Resilience in his hand. That would be a good one to start with. He's going to lose an Altar and the Jedi's Resilience. Greg's going to reveal the Slave 1 with combat ready, or combat response. Get the Boba Fett that we verified in his reserve deck earlier. Matt doesn't have any Force saved, so it's pretty likely that that's going to Chandrilla, and it is. And we're going to get a Darth Vader V as the second pilot in there. And a Black Sun fleet. Matt's shuffling some cards in his hand, looking at his next move. Obviously, he saw Padme, which he likes, because Padme will cancel Vader's text. But the question is going to be: what is Matt going to have left at that system after this turn's over? He's going to battle. He's going to use Fett's game text. He's going to exchange a card. Possibly, you can put a High Destiny card in his deck and take that General Grievous just to get the 1 out of his deck. He's going to draw 2. He's drawn 2 Battle Destiny. 1 using Boba Fett's game text, and then for having enough ability, he'll get a second one. So he could take the lowest Destiny card out, then it's just a bunch of red cards left in there. And that could clear Rey and the whole ship. So we'll see what he draws. There's a 5 and a 7. So again, he put the High Destiny card back in, and Matt draws a 1, which is going to get reduced by Vader to 0. So that's 12 and 11. 7, 10, 12 and 10. Sorry, so it'll be 22 to 8. So it'll be 14. Rey covers 7, and I think the Masanya covers 8. So there's no overflow in that battle, but does clear the system. Now he'll pay 1. He'll move some stuff around. He's going to move all 3 of his ships over, and he's going to move TTO to Tatooine and get that, occupy that. And now he can start causing some larger force loss. He's already got we shall double our efforts on the table. So that'll be 3 damage a turn from TTO damage. And the drain of 2 at Endor. And with the Black Sun fleet in play, he's got the ability to move Fett as well during the control phase, whether he wants to land him at the large moisture farm to get 1 more ping from the TTO and not have to pay to drain. That's always a possibility. He could also move over to Chandrilla and or whatever system Matt deploys next, or like Chandrilla or Narshada. I think Kifix is still in his deck. Move to one of those systems and get an additional drain of 2 in, and do 7 damage next turn using the Admiral's Order. And that's what's so potent and so efficient about the TTO deck is its combination with Black Sun Fleet, the independent starships, and its ability to consolidate and move and cause additional damage, and then, you know, reconsolidate, making it very hard to interact with in certain matchups. Matt's going to use Hidden Base, and he's going to get another one of his systems out of his deck, so he's got to know it out. That's his third system he's deployed. We know Kifix is still floating around in there. But that pile at Tatooine is going to be very difficult for Matt to do much against. You know, we don't know what cards Greg has in his hand right now, or how many cards he has, because his piles are a little off. But just looking at that, I mean, Baron adds a Destiny, Fett adds Destiny, the second sector adds a Destiny, Vader subtracts 2, 4 actually, because he's with Black 2. So Moff Jarjarad is a Black Squadron pilot because he's piloting Black 2. So Greg can subtract 4 from a Destiny, and he's going to draw 4 Battle Destiny. I don't know that Matt has an answer for that. He would have to deploy several ships all at once. Even with the X-Wing cannon and Greg's ability to subtract 4, I don't think Matt can hit any of Greg's ships. So he'll have to be patient and see if Greg spreads himself out and leaves a weakness, a vulnerability that Matt can exploit. But for right now, he does not have anything that's really going to help him out with Tatooine. Now, with Greg having multiple of his ships stacked up there at Tatooine, Matt could certainly try and make a play to use Wedge to try and go blow up the Death Star. Deploy him to Endor and then move right over to the Death Star system. But he would need to back that up somehow. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, he's got Tanev in his hand. He can deploy Tanev right to the Death Star system with a pilot and then deploy Wedge right behind it, and then Wedge can move into the first sector. Would be an option he could do. But I think he's chosen to take a different approach. He's going to deploy the Tanev to Tatooine. He's going to deploy Padme aboard. You'll probably see him shuttle Luke up to pilot the Tanev. That'll cancel Vader's game text with Padme. Padme will also add a Destiny to attrition. Matt's still going to be grossly outpowered here. He may take Chewie as well, just because he's going to need a little more power and a lot more forfeit. He picks up Luke and he's going to move the Tanev and everything to the Death Star. The Tanev's game text adds a light side icon, so that would still remain a battleground system. Excuse me. It's been a long day, folks. And Matt's going to draw a couple cards and call it a day. A turn, rather. Alright, so he's got 3 TTO damage. He top decks a Qui-Gon and a Ahsoka and loses a Hear Me Baby from hand. And we'll see if Greg pays the drain. I would expect him to. I don't really see much reason not to. At this point, Greg just wants to just out-damage Matt as much as he can. It's possible he could be trying to go deploy more ships to the Death Star. Just thinking about what we've seen from Greg's list so far. He's going to use Black Sun Fleet, and he's going to move Slave 1 and those guys over. Then he'll pay 3, and he'll do the drain for 2 at Tatooine. just going to use his objective just to look through his deck, see what his destinies and stuff are. Another benefit of the Endor Ops deck. So there's Maul, Ship, Sense, Short Range Fighters combo 2, a Dooku, Surface Defense, Turn It Off, another Short Range Fighters combo. So the Destiny deck is really good in the reserve deck. There's a Dooku and an EPP Maul, but other than that, it looks like it's just a big pile of fives. We'll see if Greg possibly has a Maul in his hand that he can reveal to get the Infiltrator out and give him another ship combo. Matt, seeing the sense in the reserve deck, is taking the opportunity to pull the Wise Advice Shield. He does not want to play the Do or Do Not Shield because he's got a sense of his own in his hand. Greg's going to counter and pull Oppressive Enforcement as well. So they both have the shields in play to help protect their interrupts from going lost. And he's going to deploy a passenger aboard there. I missed who that was. It looked like the Emperor for a second, but he can't go there. Everybody's kind of tired. It's been a long day, so you'll have to... That is the Emperor. I'm tired. I don't know why I'm thinking that the Emperor can't go there. He can't go to a site that the opponent occupies. Nothing about going to a system the opponent occupies, because everybody uses the Emperor in the shuttle. So forgive me for that one, folks. Like I said, been a long day. Padme's going to cancel Vader's game text and then draw Destiny to add to attrition. But I think the Emperor's going to end up covering the damage there because the Emperor's good for 9 forfeit. Matt's going to lose Luke and Resilience Luke back into hand. So not really much gained here. Oh, Padme's going to go too, I guess, from... Oh, because he drew 2 5s, so it was a 10. Yeah, so Padme's got to go as well. But the Tandem gets to stay. And then we'll see if Matt is going to deploy Wedge in Red Squadron 1 with the X-Wing cannon, whether he's going to take a shot at Slave 1 and try and hit it, or whether he's going to move in and try and blow up the Death Star. I think it's going to depend on where he feels like his destiny was. He can activate through most of his cards, so he's also got a handful of other pilots. He's got Solo, he's got Rey. And Rey searching his use pile when she's deployed could get him another pilot as well. Matt's going to look and get another system out of his deck. That's number 5, sorry. So he's got all 5 out, so he can flip now. He doesn't have any systems to cancel any drains, and then Greg would be able to start probing. But he could possibly flip during Greg's move phase to try and limit Greg's ability to draw cards, and then deploy some stuff in his turn. Looks like Matt Sokol and Michael Erzman have finished up their matchup. See if I can get some information there as to who won that game. Matt, did you win your game? Or? So
I think I'll sneak in at 8. I think I got a good.
all right, so Michael Erzman wins that game. Michael Erzman moves to 6-2. He's definitely guaranteed in. Matt Sokol with a pretty strong strength of schedule though, stopping by. Drops to 5-3. A little sad face. At least maybe it's just sad because he's standing next to me. Just gonna pick his own nose.
How many people are watching?
Like 4.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
I'm sure more will watch later when it's officially moved over to the YouTube page and everything. But Matt with 5-3 and a good strength of schedule should be in 7th or 8th place, and should still make the cut. So we got Matt Thornton here still counting force, trying to figure out what exactly he can deploy and where his opportunities lie. He's got the ship, he's got the X-Wing cannon, he's got Luke, Solo, Rey, pilots to put on that Tantive for. It's just trying to figure out what the best, what's going to get the most bang for his buck. That's a Bail Organa. That'll add him a Destiny. There's Solo for 4. It gives him at least the ability to draw 1 Destiny. There's the Wedge in Red Squadron 1. Now, Wedge has game text that may come into play here because he does something with independent starships. Let's pull him up for the... Wedge in Red Squadron 1. I'll pull him up and share him on the screen and get his game text real quick. During battle with an opponent's independent starship may add 1 destiny to attrition or total power. So adding a destiny to attrition against Slave 1, he's adding battle destiny. With Bail, he's got enough ability. So there's just 2 battle destiny. Oh. Matt's got 7, and he's going to add to attrition, and it's Rey, so he's going to add 1. That's going to be an 8, which Vader would cover. And Greg's got 11 in Battle Destiny, which is going to clear a good portion of Matt's cards again. And since Matt initiated that battle, he's got to worry about what Greg's got coming after that on top. Coming back on his turn. Now, what's that second character that I missed him deploy? If it's Rey, it's going to add 1 to the total and it'll kill more than Vader. If it's... I think we would have got an extra destiny. If it's EPP Luke... which it was, he's going to get resilienced. And then Solo's going to go as well. And Greg has to lose Darth Vader. But that's going to do it for Matt's turn. Doesn't have enough force left to move away. He does take this opportunity to flip his objective. Greg's going to verify his reserve deck 4, 5, 5, 6. The Point Man, a Dark Time for the Rebellion, Black Sun Fleet, all really good high destiny cards. He's going to do some pink damage here. Greg pays 3. He's going to do the drain of 2 at Tatooine. And then he's going to do 3 TTO damage. Losing, it was a Harvest, a Captain Hera, and an EPP Obi. Greg's going to drop No Escape, take Vader back into hand, redeploy Vader aboard Slave 1. And this is just going to be a wash, rinse, repeat here. Except Matt has a lot less, a little less power now. And certainly a lot less forfeit. He's got 2 Battle Destiny still, because Bale's adding 1, and then he's got enough ability to draw 1. But he's not adding a Destiny to Attrition anymore. I'm sorry, he's still adding a Destiny to Attrition with Wedge. Greg's deploying Ozzel and Bosk and Houndstooth aboard Slave 1. I'm just going to double check real quick because I have a feeling that Slave 1 can only hold 1 passenger, but we'll see if that's still the case. Slave 1 can hold 2 pilots and 2 passengers. Okay, good. So they didn't mess something up there. Greg's going to put Erica undercover at the farm. And it looks like he drew a pile of red cards for Destiny at the Death Star 2, which is going to clear a large chunk of Matt's ships, losing Wedge for 6 and Bale for 5. That's just going to leave the Tanev sitting by itself again. Looks like they got about 15 minutes or so in the round just called. Michael Irishman's going to pop his head in real quick after going 6 and 2 today. Wave hi to all the fans.
Hey guys.
So Matt Thornton has no force drains going right now. He's running out of ships and characters. He's down to just about 4 cards or so in his hand. It's going to be hard for him to continue trying to battle through Greg's space fleet. And that Tanev doesn't really have too many places left to go. He's going to drop Luke for the 3rd time as a pilot and move it away in front of Tatooine and over to Tatooine. And he's going to pay 1 and probably move Chewie up. Yeah. Yep, I'll move Chewie up, leave Owen and Baru, who actually draw Destiny there, as opposed to leaving Chewie there, who would just have a weapon. Draw quite a few cards, looking for some answers. Got about a dozen cards in hand, just over a dozen now, about 13. But not too many force left down. And by the way, he's recycling his piles around. You can tell he's a little frustrated that he can't really seem to get much going. The Death Star being at Tatooine with Baron and Saber 1 there. It's going to be 3 Battle Destiny for Greg Shaw. And probably doesn't have any other ships. Bosk is still in there. He might have Bosk by now. And the Houndstooth to deploy, but even still, 10 power and 3 Destiny with the way he's drawn 5s could pretty much clear that whole ship. He'll ping for 3 with TTO. Oh, I'll get the escape pod combo, which will get grabbed.
Well, that gets rid of at least the damage for 1 turn.
Absolutely, saving 3 cards for trade 1 for 3 all day. He's gonna use Black Sun Fleet though and move back over. And that's gonna add another Battle Destiny, and it's gonna allow him to subtract 4. He's gonna break Erica's cover.
Matt's playing another shield.
Matt is playing another shield. He's looking for, I don't know, he's really just looking to put a 5 back, I think, but he's going to play aim high, I guess, just because. Ooh. Greg had EPP Maul. Well,
Ouch.
fortunately, it's a good thing we saw Matt earlier when he did a use pile search and didn't really like any of his options. He took the Hujix. But I think Greg is going to try and battle him in space first and do some pretty serious battle damage because he's getting 4 Destiny there. Oh, there's the Houndstooth. Oh, God.
Oh, he got a 7.
Houndstooth, Zuckus the Mist, Hunter, Django Fett, and then
then
luckily a Phantom Menace for 7. So he'll still
Total
end
of
up.
10.
Yeah. I know, and Baron's going to add at least 1 there. And then Matt's Destiny is going to get reduced by Vader. So 10, 20, like 30, 31 to 9. They'll cover 7 and 6 is 13, and 8 for the Tantive is 21. So that should cover just about all of it if he loses everything. Matt may be contemplating just losing a few cards from hand to keep the Tantive on the table since he's out of ships.
Yeah, that would be at least, what, 6 he'd have to lose?
Yeah. He's going to peel a bunch of cards. He doesn't have any cards left to peel either, so not a very good position for Matt Thornton to be in right now. He's just going to concede the game and call it a night. Go get some dinner.
That would have been it. He would have had no presence.
No,
on the board.
he'd have nothing left on the board. The escape pod where Doom is grabbed, and then Greg is just going to kind of spread out a little bit. So, congratulations to Greg Shaw picking up win number 6. He's guaranteed to make it to the top 8 tomorrow. And Matt Thornton has a pretty high strength of schedule at 5 and 3, so I don't expect him to fall out of the top 8 either. This is going to do it for our stream for tonight. We're going to wrap it up. Thank you to everybody for watching all 8 games and bearing with us through some of our technical difficulties earlier today. And we'll hopefully get all these videos moved over to the YouTube channel in the next day or two, so that way people who weren't able to watch the live stream can still watch these games and my brilliant, insightful commentary at a later time. But thank you guys very much, and be sure and check the forums for the official top 8 standings and the pairings for tomorrow, and then we'll be back streaming some games tomorrow live as always. So have a great night, everybody.